Friday, July 7th, 2017, 77217. Any of you Gematria fans out there, break that down for me. I don't know what the sevens are all about, but apparently in Vegas, it means you're lucky. So, welcome. Glad to be here. Glad to start another weekend with our family on YouTube, enjoying the fabulous flat Earth. We are joined with us, as always, our Iron Realm Media crew. Rob, you just popped in here. I just wanted to say hi. We are live now. How you been doing this week, Rob? Very quiet. Excellent. Yeah, my week's been pretty quiet too. That's all right. John, I see you're at least unmuted. How you been doing this week, John?
Yeah, I'm doing well, mate. Yeah, pumped for the show. It's had a nice time off last week. I'm all ready. I think Rob's actually here. You there, Rob?
Yes, I am here. Sorry, guys. I just woke up. Night shift last night. And I might add, I've got parrots everywhere around me this morning. They are everywhere, so I'll have to keep myself muted all the time. They are unbelievable this morning. Hundreds and hundreds of them around me.
Yeah, you sound like a very happy Hitchcock movie.
So I'll keep myself muted as much as possible, I think. Just let me know if I'm too loud.
Oh, I never hesitate. Also, Walt is with us. Walt, how are you doing this week?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Had an interesting week. It's been very busy here. Had some time with the family. About to get ready to head on back to the house here soon. Still fighting these allergies over here.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's a great week.
'Tis the season. 'Tis the season for allergies. Awesome. Adam,
well, definitely
how are you doing
being away. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. Go ahead. What you got to say?
Well, just saying, being in a different area, totally different flowers, trees, it's just definitely my body, my system is not used to it. I've been eating local honey, and that's helped. I've actually gotten better this week eating the local honey. So a tip, get local honey wherever you are for your allergies. It is amazing.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
Keep it raw. Adam, how are you this week?
I'm fine, gents. Funny old week. And on that, first of all, I did catch bits of the show and saw some of the chat, and so thanks for all the kind messages for Leo. It was like a lot of childhood injuries, 4 hours in A&E, and he walked out of there like a miracle had been performed. But so I was disappointed to miss last week, but everything's okay. And like I say, thanks for everybody's thoughts and words. It was very nice. Good week. Other than that, collecting data and putting stuff together, hopefully. So.
Excellent. Yeah. So right now, I'm just going to talk about what a big show we have. James, I haven't forgotten you. You're coming up right next. But we do have quite a show. This week, we're going to do a little update on John Bramha here towards the end of this first hour. We did manage to have a nice conversation with him last night, even. And he always, as always, has so much interesting information to share. So we'll be passing that along at the bottom of this hour. And then next hour, in hour 2, we're going to have Adam go over his moonlight experiments. He has created quite a little contraption with several different sensors and thermometers and all sorts of little temperature gauges. And he's compiled quite a bit of data. So
I'm actually excited to see all this.
My mic has been muted
because it's
the proxy says there's no audio, so this whole intro has been for naught.
See, don't forget me.
I need a fucking checklist. I need a co-pilot here to make sure
absolutely.
I've got so much shit going on. All right, let's try this again. We'll just play it off like we meant to.
Should be okay on mine, so you could splice it together afterwards. Not guaranteeing.
Start again. It's fine.
Start again.
Yeah. Start again.
Yeah.
Been a great
Kill
week.
this way. Shut it. Pull the building. 7.
All right, here we go. Everybody to another Flat Earth Friday Fringe Cast with IronRealmMedia, TGIF. Thank God it's flat. Today is Friday, July 7th, 2017. 772017. That's a lots of sevens in there. If you're going to Vegas, shoot some craps because this should be your lucky day. It's another week heading into the weekend. Thanks everybody for tuning in and joining us here on YouTube. Let's just say hello to everybody. We've got another full house here in the realm. John, how you doing this week?
I'm doing very well again, Josh. Thanks. It's been a good week.
Awesome.
Do James next.
You want to do James next? No, we got to save James for last.
Okay.
If this seems repetitive, it's because we've done this once before. Only my mic was muted, so nobody heard anything. So this is take 2, and we've said this once. So everybody's already bored with this here on our end. Walt, how you doing this week? Quiet week for Walt too. Awesome, great. Adam, how about
that was deja vu. I'm great, guys, and I'm going to say it again. I'd like to say thank you to everybody for the kind messages that I got last week. And Leo's fine. He was miraculous healing of 4 hours in A&E seemed to fix him. But thanks everybody for your kind words.
Well, we're glad he's doing. I know that a broken toe is so hard to fix. There's not a whole lot you can do but tape it to the next toe over and deal with the pain. So we're glad he's feeling good.
Yeah, thanks.
Rob, you're with. How'd you do this week, Rob?
I've been fine. And as you can hear behind me, the birds are going off this morning. They're the blue mountain parrots or lorikeets. There are hundreds and hundreds of them in the trees beside me because I do my chats from outside so my family doesn't disturb me while I'm chatting to you. So I do everything from outside, and this morning is a particularly busy day for the parrots. So I'll keep myself on mute as much as possible if I'm not talking. Just let me know if I'm too loud.
Oh, we certainly will, Rob. We never hesitate to put you in your place. Walter, are you back with us yet? Are you unmuted?
No, man, it wasn't that. I was froze up again.
Oh,
I don't know what's going on. I think it might be the problem here with the internet that I have. I've actually tried to get off of my wireless internet and go to the house internet, and it keeps dropping that. I don't know what's going on. Friday, it could just be Google traffic. It is a busy day.
It is a busy day, and we know that Google does like to F with us a little bit here on the Iron Realm.
It does seem to be that way today. My goodness. I haven't heard anything. It's literally been frozen until I just was able to unmute there.
Huh.
My gosh. I don't know. Can you hear me fine?
Yeah, you sound really good.
Actually, when I changed headsets, that might have caused a problem too. Maybe that's what was happening. I don't know. Anyway, we're back. Roll.
We have a show this week. Yeah, at the end of this hour, we're going to go over a conversation we had with John Bramha last night. So we're going to update on his Antarctic expedition. So that's exciting. Lots of new, exciting information coming from John Bramha. And in hour 2, in the next hour, we're going to have a presentation by our own Adam Meakin. Adam did some moonlight temperature experiments. So we're going to go over his findings and his results with him in the second hour. Some pretty remarkable things Adam's discovered. So we're looking forward to hearing about that. In the meantime, I want to talk to James, the Full Armor OG. Now, this just isn't any YouTube channel that James has. I think it's probably safe to say James has one of the fastest growing flat earth videos in history. I don't think there's a single flat earth video. I don't care if it's The Clues. I don't care if it's Eric Dubé's Flat Earth Conspiracy. What flat earth video you've seen out there, I don't think there's another one that has risen as far and as fast as James's video. James, I know last night that video was really close to reaching another milestone. Did it reach that milestone last night?
First of all, hello, everybody. Thank you very much for the kind words, Josh. And yes, Last night, sometime when we were sleeping, it broke 2 million views.
Jeez.
It's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling.
Well done.
Never imagined it.
James, I hope you're not just sitting there clicking repeat, racking the views up a little bit more, are you?
He's got a whole sweatshop doing it. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
No, well done, mate. It's excellent.
Actually, one of the neat things is the original creator has come out with a second part to it. And I'm going to be releasing that second part with a few changes with his blessing. And it should be another cracker. So I can't wait to share it in a little bit.
Excellent. We look forward to that. Just to remind everybody the name of that video so we can start rocketing it up to 3 million views.
That would be something that it came up with. I'll just tell the story of actually how it came up. It was during Oscar season around February. And, all the MSM, we've got to hold everyone to these obsolete elite standards, like that app they had at one time where you could rate if people were good or bad as people. Horrible idea. Anyways, award season, I'm sitting there looking at all the YouTube videos, and I was just thinking, you know what? There are some unbelievable videos that have changed people's lives. And those are the ones that I want to highlight. So that's how the voted started. And it's now been a cornerstone of my videos and something that, we as a realm do and vote on these things. And it's been a blessing. So it's called Voted Best Flat Earth Proof 2017 was the original one. And big shout out to Hibbler Productions who put together the original and then was mashed up. So good job to everybody.
That is
good work, James.
But that's not all. You have also you try to put out one every week, yeah?
I do. That's what I'm going to do. That's what the plan is. And at first, I will tell you, if you haven't done it, it's definitely something new that you have to maintain and put a lot of effort in. You get what you give. So, it's just really rewarding. I finally am getting some good comments, Josh. So it's really nice getting some, people who have said that I've really opened up their eyes, got them even on the subject. I mean, that Flat Earth Proof video is great, and it's brought 2 million, probably a lot of new eyes, because a lot of there's over 24,000 comments, a lot, and I try and read a lot of them. And a lot of them are brand new people. And you know how I know they're brand new? Because their reaction is similar across the board. You're fucking retarded. You're an idiot. Oops, sorry for swearing on air, but this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And so it's really nice. I mean, to know that there are actually people getting the right thing from it. I don't care the wrong thing. That's not what we're about, not what I'm about. I just want to throw the truth out there and let people figure it out on their own, It's just been a great experience. And this week, actually, I'll tell you about this week's video was some footage I found from 2012, and it was the Venus transit. And this thing, simple proof, but wow, mind-blowing. It even rocked my own girlfriend's world again, and she's a flat earther, but just looking at it, she's like, why? Wait a second. First thing she did was, wait, isn't Venus one of those gassy planets? Isn't it one of those ball gases, they say? And I'm like, no, it's actually terrestrial. It's like mountainous, actually. It's like really solid, same density and kind of specs as Earth. It's one of the 4 terrestrial. So when you see this going through the sun transit and you show it's literally, I'll try not to swear again, but the garbage that they're shoveling to you, it looks like a transparent energy disk going through the sun. It's completely see-through. So I don't know.
I'm queued up right now, James. So I'm going to go ahead and play that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody here on the Hangout, here, you Iron Realm guys, if you want to watch it, go to YouTube. I'm not sharing my screen. Trust me that I'm playing it. I'm sure you've all seen,
don't worry,
2 or 3 already. So that'll be good.
Hey guys, James here, Full Armor OG. Make sure you guys check out Iron Realm Media YouTube channel and check out our show every Friday. We do the Iron Realm Media Fringe Cast. Big shout out this week to all the guys at Iron Realm Media and all of our listeners. Thanks for listening. This is footage from the Venus 2012 transit, and the song is actually an original by me, and it's called Ambush. Have a great week, guys, and hope you enjoy the video.
Good stuff. That's awesome.
Definitely looks like it's in water, doesn't it, James?
Absolutely. And I was going to mention your footage as well. I mean, now that I have the camera, it's really not what people think. I can't believe I had such dissonance just to look up there. You know, never looked at a telescope, never really knew, just kind of looked at the NASA stuff and was like, oh, wow, look at that. It's bright tonight. Woo. Go ahead.
I don't see that footage. Yeah, I don't see that footage, that last bit of footage that you see there. I don't get that. I just get the cell-like formation, which, as I said on last week's show, I think that's just the light. So I'm not sure, but that there at the end there, that was definitely something unbelievable. Well, definitely water over the top of it. Well,
James,
for me, it definitely seems like.
Did they have any explanation as to why it looked as though it was going up and down across the sun?
No, that was
Yeah,
yeah,
it was.
no,
What the
that
hell
was
it was?
actually the one they didn't address. But because Erin, my girlfriend there, was throwing questions, how they explain that?
Yeah.
Other people must have seen it.
They
and
probably
guess
meant
what
to have a song and lyrics, and it would bounce along for you to sing along, but they forgot to put the lyrics. No, I don't know. It's pretty ridiculous looking.
I mean, I'm assuming, knowing the track record of NASA and their fakery, that this is pure CGI. But why on earth would they have it going down and up and down and up? And don't know. Brilliant. Well done, mate. Like that.
Yeah, great video, man.
Is that original footage of the Venus sort of moving up and down? Have you
Yes,
got that link somewhere else, Chad?
I will actually include the link. That's a good thing. Something I'm going to start doing. But yeah, that's official NASA and DSO.
Because I can show that. I can
footage.
show that to my troll. He would love that, and
Yes,
he would
you
would give me an excuse why that's doing that.
We've been on the
I
forums.
can't
and
wait.
Guess, Rob, what the number one reason science gives us is refraction and some kind of radiation light maybe coming through the back of Venus.
It's relative. It's relative, and it's gravity, and it's
But it is what NASA puts out, because I remember doing a bit of research about 18 months ago trying to work out how they explained it. You know, Cornell University and all these other top-notch unis, how they explained how they measured the distance to celestial bodies. You know, and one of the main ways and methods they used was the transit of Venus across the sun. So I was looking at examples of that and saw that video and just saw it dancing across the sun. I was just like, "You're having a laugh."
Did you see the
ridiculous
video that what did you guys think of Venus, the picture at the very end where I had Earth and Venus? Did you see the bottom of Venus? Did they have some kind of meltdown there? It looked like they forgot to do the paint and Photoshop. It's like a gray square that's uncolored on the bottom.
Well, Venus is meant to be something like 1500 degrees Celsius, isn't it? Or something like molten lava planet. I don't know.
It's very rocky. Very, very rocky.
Neutrinos. That's why we
That's
were seeing
exactly
through it.
Neutrinos,
Neutrinos. That's why it was transparent.
Somebody actually said that.
It'll be hotter than where you lived, John.
That sounds like a cold and flu medicine. Neutrinos. Get your neutrinos this summer.
Neutrinos helps fight the cold.
Allergies.
Season.
You had a good cure for allergies, didn't you, Walt?
Yes, sir. Got to get that natural
Manuka?
honey, raw honey.
Get your local
Manuka?
honey.
That's it.
Manuka's from New Zealand. It's when you've got allergies, you know, sort of hay fever allergies and that sort of thing. It's great to chomp down the local, like honey, because that's got loads of the pollen that the bees in that area have collected. So it's sort of like works upon the same sort of notion as the original vaccines. Anyway, I'll shut up now. Took it off course.
No, awesome. We want to get all kind of information out there.
Got Cosmic Surfer in chat just said instead of the water over the top, why not vapor? What do you think about that? Instead of water over the start, it's just a vapor.
I was going to raise the same point there.
I've thought that a few times.
Good said, but I think we've had a bit of info this week that would.
But right,
it's more liquid, and they're a lot further away than.
Right, and the lunar wave really is it's not that shimmery, atmospheric-y looking. Because sometimes when I see that, that's what I think. Maybe they're just breathing in a cold atmosphere across the lens, and you're seeing that vaporish thing happening. But that lunar wave that I've seen, it's definitely not that. It's a straight line wave that displaces the moon, just like a wave across water. It's not ripply or any of that.
I hadn't
And
even
sometimes
thought
there's
of
two
that.
waves following each other.
I hadn't even thought of that
Right.
as an excuse. So breathing or your central heating or something has been given off, and gives a blast. But yeah, no, you're right. It is a dead straight wave, isn't it? And it comes in
Yeah.
2s or 3s or
Mm-hmm.
quite
Yep.
predictably. Interesting.
So, Walt, you mentioned that we were looking at Venus because of the neutrinos. That
Yeah, neutrinos.
cocaine marketing.
Right.
So, John, you posted something this week about neutrinos, about somebody looking at the sun through 8,000 miles of the Earth because they were picking up these neutrinos that were being blasted through.
That's right.
Can you tell us a little bit about this nonsense?
Well, I'll try. I mean, it was put out by who was it put out? Walt, you initially brought attention to this. Who was it put out by?
I knew you. I knew you were going to ask me that.
Can't remember
I have the tweet here somewhere. I'll have to go back in my tweet line and find it.
It was
Someone
only
actually
after
said
a
it to
while.
me in a debate that's just proof that the sun is on the other side of the Earth. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember studying this in school, and that was why I was going to defend my pronunciation. There was a band from across the pond called Clay 2 in the 70s, and they had a song about the little neutrino, and that's how they pronounced it in that song. So I will find that link and put that in here. But anyway, yeah, I studied that stuff back in the 70s and 80s, and they were still trying to figure out how to detect them after they had been predicted back then.
Well,
apparently now they have a camera.
Sorry, carry on.
No, they apparently have a camera. I'm still trying to dig through my tweet line here and find it. I definitely had the tweet ready. I should have dropped it in our media link here. Carry on for a second, John, and I will dig it up for you, sir.
Yeah, well, apparently they detect these things by burying, crystal clear distilled water miles underground, and they've got little receptors made up of, well, what does it say? I can read this out. Maybe I should share my screen, but that'll screw everything up, won't it?
No, sir. You share it, and I will make sure everybody can see it.
Okay, that means I just got to go and find Hangouts. It's bizarre, isn't it, when you go live from YouTube or whatever? The Hangout page is completely different to the one that we're in now. It's just mental. Everything's bizarre. But yeah, sunshots. But anyway, it turns out that tweet was originated in 2014, and it was just sort of being rehashed again and again. And
by Marcus Chown. I found it.
Chown.
Marcus Chown.
Yeah.
CHOWN.
CLOWN. And yeah, and that comes from 1998 from the Japanese Super Kamiokande experiment. And it 503.8 days and nights of exposure. And they're shooting through the center of the Earth, ball Earth, and photographing the sun using neutrinos. And I've just never heard so much rubbish in my life. These neutrinos, they're particles, you can't see them, nothing can detect them, all you can do is agitate them or something, so they spin off into either a muon, a tau, or an electron, neutron. It sounds easier to locate fairy dust, quite frankly.
Right, well, you just have to pick your flavor. What's your favorite flavor? That's actually what they call those, flavors of neutrinos.
And I've watched a couple of videos on them, and I just can't get a grip. I mean, they're saying they're changing. They change from muon to tau to electron to this, that, and the other, and that means it all just sounds like the usual theoretical particle physicist nonsense like CERN that none of us can ever replicate ourselves. But yeah, that's my take on
it. The trouble I had with it, John, is if it goes through the Earth, what are they using to stop it to form the image? And if they go through the Earth, these particles, and other suns are emitting them, what's stopping those particles coming from the other direction, not through the Earth and hitting, just through space, as it were, and just hitting the other side, and also coming through the Earth, because the Earth doesn't stop them. So it seems a strange way of claiming you can create an image from something that is continuous in its movement as well.
And the Earth has a molten core, apparently, as well, that you'd be trying to be looking through. It's superheated, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, these are meant to come from stars and the sun. To me, it just looks like typical propaganda, heliocentric ball Earth propaganda. Like the what is it they did when they measured the diameter of the Earth ball using sonar waves or something, bouncing it off the inside, pointing it through the ground basically and saying, yep, it's 8,000 miles, and it's just, yeah, makes no sense. Anyway, moving on. Stop sharing now.
All right, then.
While you all read my emails.
Well, at some point during the fringe part of the show, I dropped a link there in our media links room for that song, Little Neutrino by Klaatu, a great psychedelic band from the 70s. Yes, enjoy, people.
Excellent. I have to have a look at that.
Hey, Mr. Savage, one of the other things on the list for this week was gyroscopes and the apparent lack thereof of a certain model. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, well, Adam actually brought this up. Where is it? Yeah, Adam, because you wanted to buy one, didn't you?
Yeah, I was trying to get one. I've been making a 24-hour rotation table, so there's no mechanical clockwork in it, and wanted to give it a little test and went to see if I could get one of the super precision gyroscopes, which have been around, as you can tell by the adverts, the jumpers that the kids in the advert are wearing. You can tell they've been around for 20 odd years or more. And went to the website, and on there, I don't know if you can find it, John, but it says,
I'm trying to.
It says something due to the response to a YouTube video in France. Sales have gone through the roof. We haven't got the stock, and we're stopping selling them. So I thought, well, that's fair enough. There's nothing. It's a bit dodgy, isn't it? You wouldn't stop taking orders, but anyway. So I thought I'd try and, they've been, like I said, they've been around for years. So I thought I'd try and hunt them down, and I must have gone through 20 or 30 different websites, and not one of them have got these gyroscopes in stock. Anyway, I can't see them on eBay, Amazon, or any independent retailers. They list them, but everything's out of stock. So.
Yeah. I'm trying to bring it up at the moment. I had a sodding link sat there, no problem. Now I can't even bring up the sodding website. Oh, there we go. Connection is timed out. Marvelous. Okay, so now there's not even a website. So the only gyroscope that we've been testing as flat earthers or whatever, the most precision, best quality gyroscope out there, which isn't really all that, to be fair. It's not balanced out of the box, so you're still going to muck about with it. Has suddenly stopped supplying gyroscopes to you and I. I mean, I find that a little odd.
Have you been onto eBay, John, and just see how much the same one's worth?
I'll have a look now.
Have they skyrocketed in price?
You can't get them, mate.
I hope so.
What, not even on eBay?
Crazy.
You can get one, Adam, any time. I'm going to send it to you as soon as you send me your address. Super precision.
I've got it on my.
Oh, you found it?
You found it?
Got it
I've got so many things open here, it's dying in there. And I'm hearing some feedback. Super.
Here you go. Can you see that?
You sharing, eh?
Not sharing?
Yep. Nope. I got it. It's on screen.
Hang on. You read better than me, Josh.
Nope. I'm still hooked on phonics.
Dr. No. His name is Dr. Noseman. Dr. No.
It says, we have a huge number of orders for this gyroscope due to a popular YouTuber, Dr. Noseman, in France, reviewing it. We have decided to suspend sales until we can catch up with production and dispatch. If you want to purchase one, click here to be notified when it's back in stock. If you've ordered, we are clearing the backlog as fast as we can.
So how long has that message been up there, John?
Well, Adam looked, what, a month ago, maybe? Or?
Yeah, months or more. Maybe 2 months at least, isn't it? It's been there like that.
I mean,
I have a
this
question.
video.
I don't think it takes that long, does it?
The French person that they're talking about, is that a flat Earth video person, or are
No.
they just a
No, it's one of
scientist?
these slick, you know, out of the box test it review sort of programs. But
Unboxer.
like
Just an
I say,
unbox
this
type show?
thing's this thing's been around for a good few years. I think we could have a look on the Wayback Machine and see when they first started making them, and then all of a sudden, I mean, the video that the French guy made about it, it's got something like 3 million views. It's gone through the roof. But what interesting timing.
I was going to say,
and-
that's just kind of bizarre for such an off-the-wall instrument. I mean, if it was a fidget spinner or something like that, a drone maybe, but a gyroscope.
But also, I mean, I
that's wild.
don't know how many businessmen there are out there, but if you own a sort of small manufacturing company, precision manufacturing company or whatever, and, you're used to selling 200 gyroscopes a month, and suddenly you get orders for 2,000 gyroscopes a month, the first thing I would do is not suspend sales. I would be running around every single precision gyroscope, outsourcing
Right.
to anyone and everyone that I could with the
Exactly.
plans, to fill these orders. The last thing you do is stop supplying them. I mean, that just seems bizarre.
The worst business model ever.
Yeah, isn't it?
You know,
So,
there's
yeah.
a guy who's been
Demand
selling
goes
them,
up.
for years.
That's just
20
not
years.
So, yeah, I
Ridiculous.
thought that was quite interesting, to be honest.
That's crazy.
Nothing to do with flat Earth, of course, ever.
Surely
No,
one of those
I'm
horrible
sure we
coincidences.
had no effect. I mean, flat Earth is dead. Just ask the ballers and the pairheads.
That's right. Yeah, it sort of fizzled out. Had a little heyday at some point, didn't it?
Speaking of ballers, John, have you been tussling over some evolutionary things this week?
All sorts this week. I've had PhD as usual, PhDs and all sorts. I'm a effing PhD, don't you know? Yeah, what have we got? But yeah, actually, James, yeah, I know what you're on about. I put out the obvious question, so what came first, the chicken or the egg? Because I'm being told that nothing was ever created. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I thought the reason that question was put out is because no one had an answer to it. And recently, I put that out, and I've had numerous evolutionists and atheists come back saying, well, it was obviously the egg. And I'm like, I've never heard that before. Has anyone else heard that?
Spontaneous eggs? I thought that went out with the Greeks.
Well, chicken and the egg, and they say the egg was produced by an animal that was almost a chicken. All right,
Oh,
that's right. Yeah, I got a response saying
A dino chicken?
that's easy. There were eggs before chickens, so obviously eggs. I'm missing
Wow,
the
that
logic
may be the
here somewhere.
pairhead fail of the week right there. Oh my goodness.
But they're all parroting it, and I'm like, can you tell me where you're getting this from? Because as far as I knew, there was no answer to this. What came first, the DNA or the ribosome? Because they both intertwine and they rely on each other for coexistence. So one can't have existed without the other. Sorry, Jane.
Well said, John. They are clinging to a guy, Darwin, who in his masterpiece puts the most obvious disclaimer that his work is very uncredible. At the very beginning of his book, he even tells you that it's bunk. You know what I'm talking about on the first page of his theory of evolution.
But interesting to know on the first edition of his Origin of Species and what are the other rest of the racist title,
whatever it was.
He did claim that over a period of time, a bear could turn into a whale. Not many people know that because it's a first edition. It was promptly taken out of every subsequent edition after that. But yeah, he was quite clear on that.
I will be promptly memeing that and linking it to my favorite evolution debunk video of all time, Trey Smith's 100 Ways to Debunk Darwin and Evolution. So
great. We'll have a link for that in the description.
Yeah, excellent. And I mean, that guy, he gives evolution, I think, 10 head starts, like super head starts.
Oh, yes, I have seen that. Yeah.
Is that Trey Smith from South Park?
No, it's actually you little devil. I just got it.
Best one I found was the Dr. Hovine. I know he's not a flat earther and hail but his lecture series and stuff on evolution was just fantastic.
I thought the best was Ben Stein. Did the one, I think it's called Education Not Allowed, and that gets what's his name, Richard Dawkins. He gets him admitting that all sorts of basic assumptions that basically his evolution doesn't work, and it couldn't start from zero, and that actually it's perfectly reasonable that aliens seeded the planet, and then he takes him to, well, where did the aliens get it from? But it's a really good one because it goes into some really good biochemistry of the cell, and some really good detail and analogies, which is Ben Stein, I think it's called.
So on the Origin of Species, I was just looking at this, and it struck me, this idea of a subtitle. Watching movies, I like to turn the subtitles on because I can catch a lot more of the dialogue that I miss audibly. So I'm looking at this book, and it's Charles Darwin on the Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection. Great title. But the subtitle, that idea that they're wanting to make sure that it's really coming across, the subtitle to this book is called Preservation of Favored Races in the Struggle for Life.
Nothing wrong with that, eh? Sorry.
There's a confusion, isn't there? There's a distinct confusion, and evolution is one of the, like the globe, one of the theories that has no actual solid evidence to support it. The evidence that you see discussed is evidence of adaptation, which is another indicator of intelligent design because it requires adaptive programming. And there's suggestions that, DNA changes within a species, a single organism within its life based on environment. And that's how it also helps pass those adaptive genes on stronger to the next generation. But they are all indicative of an additional level of programming to take that information in, consume it, and then actually do something with it to change the chromosome itself, which, like I say, is not what evolution suggests, which is random mutation, which eventually leads to a benefit. And that's why we see so much time with astronomy and everything that they put in, because evolution requires millions and millions and millions of years. Adaptation doesn't. And if you listen to Darwin, he's clearly describing adaptation of the finches in his Evolution of Species. It's not that the finches do not evolve into goats or bears or anything.
They try to call it micro evolution.
No, it's adaptation.
Yes.
That's
which
bullshit,
is
isn't it?
adaptation. Yeah, yeah. But didn't Darwin marry his cousin and have like 9 stillborn kids or something? I'm going off the top of my head there, but
I don't remember that part, but definitely micro versus macro evolution is a thing. I mean, there's moths, and I think a part of London that changed the color of their dust pattern on their wings because of certain types of soot that was being blown from these new factories. Some were actually there in England, I believe.
that's right. In London,
So they adapted.
Stream has stopped.
Adaptation. Oh, we hit the buzzwords. Eh?
Yeah, adaptation, apparently evolution.
Yeah.
that's right. The
But
white moth turned
Adam,
into the grey
I can't
moth.
wait to watch that one. I haven't heard it before, so thanks for sharing that. We should put all 3. The one John you said too, for the evolution. I'll link Trey Smith, and I don't remember yours, Adam, but please share it. I'm keen to look at it.
I love your emphasis on evolution.
Yeah.
Evil.
Actually, that's the name of a Trey Smith video as well. Evolution.
Great first hour, by the way.
Was that
Give me
an
2
ad?
seconds. I'm going to grab a drink.
Yeah. This is the time for Grav.
Have we lost Josh, or is he trying to get this going again, or what? The live feed's gone down. Was that by choice?
No.
Right. Evolution then. Yeah, speciation. Sorry. Where one species changes into another. There's no evidence of that I possibly see.
Everything has to follow its kind, just like the old books say. Everything after its kind. That's how it works.
And I've never known anything with different amounts of chromosomes to be able to mate, and monkeys and humans have different amounts of chromosomes. The list just goes on and on with evolution. I can't see
Entropy.
the law of entropy, how things get worse and worse, whereas we're meant to have got better and better, and we're so superior and so smart now. We can peer billions of years into the past and tell you how a fruit fly used to be a not fruit fly, and how a non-chicken laid an egg with a chicken in it.
It's been propped up for a long time, my friend. People were just too
We're live again.
too in it, too in it to see it.
Well, wasn't
Thanks,
it
Rob.
Darwin that got together with the other families like the Huxleys and the Wedgwoods, and tried to make a superior race, and the results were, well, I think the results were Charles and Julius and the other oldest Huxley. They had so many failures.
There was all this eugenic stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, they're raging eugenics, which explains his subtitle of his book quite nicely. But evolution fanboys like to say, no, that's not what he meant. It's just read differently these days because of political correctness and everything. He didn't mean anything like that. He just meant preservation of the favoured race. And I'll guarantee he was part of the favoured race. Anyway.
Friday goes. Hello, guys. I'm back. We're streaming. Good.
Cool.
So maybe, hopefully, talk about this expedition without us crashing again. So, I think I was somewhere in the middle of describing who John Bramha was and what it was he was planning.
What?
Yeah, when we got kicked. I think I started talking about John Brahma's expedition when everything got dropped.
Filling with
Wow,
evolution,
we never heard you start there. my
Oh,
friend.
no, we didn't.
We stopped at
We were still talking about evolution. Evolution.
Yeah, evolution, and we got booted.
Micro versus macro, and that's
Yeah.
when we lost you. But we
Yeah,
never
I
heard
know.
you start the John Brahma intro. So we've definitely had a glitch. So sorry.
Wow,
That's start that from the beginning as well, Josh.
Should we start again?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a
Start
great week, Josh. How's it going for you? Let's get on with
Allergies.
Brahma, because
I'm
that's
doing
what some
honey. Y'all
people
should
want to
try
hear.
raw honey. Honey helps.
Honey's
raw
good,
honey helps
yeah.
with allergies.
2 million views. 2 million views.
Eggs, man, neutrinos, shit.
The gyroscopes are selling out fast. They're gone. It's a conspiracy.
Cloud two.
Lunar wave.
It's got to be water, right? Not vapor.
I reckon
Electric
we should do the John Bramha thing, because that's probably what some people are interested in.
Let's go.
I can't believe none of that went out.
we got to take our coffee break though here and then do it because sorry.
10 minutes, 9 minutes, or whatever. Or is it even? I don't know. After we've had so many stops and starts.
Yeah, we started a little late, so I wasn't really planning on doing it on the hour, especially since we're a little over anyway. Shoot, I don't know.
15 after. That's why I'm saying it's.
Well, we didn't start on time, so we can either hit John Bramha now.
Hit him now.
You want to hit him now?
Yeah,
Well,
hit him now.
We'll hit him now, and we'll carry it over after the break if we need to. So, okay, so we'll talk about John Bramha. We managed to get on a phone call with John Bramha last night. For those of you that don't know who John Bramha is, John Bramha claims to work for the force that guards the Antarctic. John Bramha is a flat earther and says he is a part of a force of 400, and they guard the ring from unsuspecting would-be explorers, and it's their job to turn them around. As a flat earther, John Bramha thinks it's time that the truth is revealed, so he is planning a covert mission to the edge in the Antarctic to gather data, gather proof, come back and reveal it to the world in a great unveiling. So what he wanted to do was book 10 other flat earthers who would pony up $100,000 each for these seats, and they would go make this trek down there. And that's about the time that we got into contact with John. He was looking for, I think, a little bit of exposure to help raise these funds. Naturally, we weren't too excited to just jump on this story and tell people to donate their hard-earned money to John Bramha, because, well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we just started talking to him, trying to gather as much information about him and his story and his plans as we could, and then cross-reference it and see exactly how much of it was BS and how much of it could actually be true. So that's what we've been doing this whole time, trying to communicate with him. He's not an easy guy to connect with, and even when we do, it doesn't always work out so well because he's so guarded in the words that he uses. But we had a great conversation last night. He gave us a brief little update because he updated it on his WordPress blog site, and that is journeytoedge.wordpress.com. And we wanted to talk to him and hear from his mouth exactly how this expedition was going. So ideally, I would have had this audio edited all together beautifully so I could just click play, sit back, and let you guys listen, but that's not how I roll. So we'll start out with his update. Because everybody here, we all got a chance to talk to him, which was pretty unusual. I think it was Rob's first time. So
yeah, I come in just at the end there, and I have got one question to ask when you finish your little update here. It's without notice, it'll be to Adam, but yeah, keep going.
Right on. Well, it's still not a whole lot of an update as far as his expedition goes. Last we had heard was that he had been fully funded, but now he has lost communications with his major backer. So that funding fell through. He does have $300K locked down. The funds have been transferred. 3 people have bought their tickets. 3 seats have been filled. So as it stands now, John Bramha is saying this expedition is, say, 80% go. If he can get the rest of it funded, he'll call it 100% go, and they plan on being out in Antarctica in September, just a couple months away. He's talking about a 2-week trip. So by the end of the year, theoretically, we could have a whole different reality than we do right now, based purely on John Bramha and the things that he's trying to do. I don't know. What did you guys think about what John had to say?
Well, I've got one question, and it's Adam. Adam might be able to best to answer this. I asked whether there was a 24-hour sun, and it got brushed over, I guess, yesterday when I asked it because I come in late. And anyway, Adam said, yes, there is a 24-hour sun. I'd like to know how. How on our flat Earth there is a 24-hour sun. Is that, did I take that right, Adam?
Yeah, he didn't brush over it. You joined it late, and I think sporadically I gathered a lot of information from him, or had other information confirmed. So the first and most important point, I think, to understand is that as I got a confirmation from John on, is the difference between sunlight and daylight. And there's a video come out this week kind of explaining it and demonstrating that the blueness in the sky is a luminescence of the noble gases that make up the atmosphere. And that's why the sky is so blue when it's daytime, because the daytime is the excitation of the noble gases in the atmosphere. So that's kind of, you've got to, I think, accept that premise before you can move on to some of the other.
But I can see the sun. A 24-hour sun is, you can see the sun, what is producing the light, or what we believe is producing the light for 24 hours. You can follow it around you, just like you can do in the Arctic.
You've seen that? You've seen that, right?
No, I haven't. No, obviously I haven't. But
one of the big arguments against flat Earth and the way the sun rotates is its impracticality of creating the time zones that it does through the spotlight effect of the sun. And I think that's what I'm alluding to. Think of the spotlight. That's when the sun's pointing in a particular direction, but actually you see the atmosphere glowing blue a lot wider than you would expect. The spot effect of what is, we assume, is a closer sun. Does that make sense? That it's not just reflective light that's making the sky blue. It's like a neon tube. Yeah. So when you see neon times, it's that effect.
And I still don't think the sun is an object like we understand it. A focal point of energy, an area that's focused of energy, that's transforming energy from a different realm, call it ether, whatever pronunciation you want to go with. But yeah, I've seen the sun do some amazing things. I've seen it.
But if you believe the sun,
I've seen three spots of light.
It's the thing that's moving around us. On the flat Earth model, we know that the flat Earth model might be a little bit different here and there. But if the sun is moving around it, for me, it cannot have a 24-hour sun. It cannot.
No,
it cannot. It's
a physical sun. No,
it cannot.
There is.
I've seen no evidence of that. The only videos that purport to show a 24-hour sun never show that. They show a.
That's right. That's exactly right.
The horizon line. That's right. You see the sun go across the camera shot, and then you see light, shadows, and things shifting behind the camera.
Right. Yeah, I don't believe there is. I believe if I went down there, I would not see a 24-hour sun. John is the one that's claiming there is a 24-hour sun, not us, or not me.
Keep in mind, though, that there are other suns.
Said some other things. Thank you, James. Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, what we may think is a 24-hour sun could actually be a reflection of another sun on the other side, as well. What Walt was just alluding to with the closeness of the sun. You know.
No, he said
it's
it wasn't
non-circular path.
He precluded it from
Elliptical.
the Sun, James. Yeah, he precluded it from the outer suns, and he said the effect was twofold. There's the electro and agitation effect, and that's magnified when the sun's at its southernmost orbit off of the dome. And also, he said that when you're seeing these other suns to the extremities of vision, if you think of the sun dead ahead at midday, so dead left and right of your extremities, what you're seeing there is refraction off of the dome as an image. And he says, and that's why you'll see sometimes in these images 2, 3 suns. It's not a second and third sun. There's only one in this realm. There are others outside of it, he said, but what you're seeing there is reflections caused from the proximity to the dome.
We've all seen the Arctic sun going round, round, round. For the ball to be true, we need to see that, don't we? We need to see that.
Didn't Jaron do a video
in the Antarctic?
Rob,
and we don't have it. We don't. Yeah, he did. And it always cuts out. It always cuts out. No, I just want to bring that up because if John's saying that there is, for me, you can't even have a light. It can't even be light down there. It'd be in complete darkness for a fair bit. Even in summer, there'd be a complete darkness for a fair bit of the day for me.
Yeah, so, can I just say that I'm not claiming this. This is John Bramha, not Savage. I'm not claiming 24-hour sun in Antarctica. I've never been there. So, just to get the record straight.
Again, I clarified the point with John. I think it's not 24-hour sun, but there is a point of 24-hour daylight. Was what he.
I can see 24 hours of daylight. I can see that being replicated with a lighter under a salad bowl, and I can see how that happens.
And I cannot imagine that if there's another sun outside that he's kind of confirmed, and this barrier, this border, whatever electromagnetic, unless it's some type of Faraday cage, there's no way that electromagnetic sun on that side doesn't interact with that area, that edge, and create some kind of similar effect in its atmosphere that would then create light that would also be interacting in some way in those areas. I mean, a 400-man team can't cover that whole part.
He said it was like a Faraday cage. Right, it was designed sort of.
I must have missed that. I was late to the conversation, so I apologize. I missed that.
Remember about how our tech has a hard time getting through? How it's sort of designed this energetic field.
A force field is not a Faraday cage necessarily.
Well, if it's made out of, sort of energetic waves, that's sort of getting there along those same lines.
That's what I think more the dome. That's why when people say dome, I'm thinking more layered energy levels is more my.
Yeah. They would have to be interacting in some way, just like it does on our side with their side.
As above, so below.
Again, these are all just hypotheses and speculative.
For me to believe the ball, I need to see a 24-hour sun, and that is exactly the same as what you see in the Arctic. I need to see that, not just the light and its bit of daylight.
Thank you. I need to see that camera pan around and follow that light in the sky.
Camera pan around following
360. Let's get see proxy down there.
360.
We need to see that in space, but we'll never see it. We'll never see a 360 pan in space because you'll see the pool
if John's fair dinkum and one of us go down there, then that's what I want to see.
I definitely want to see that. Pictures of satellites with balloons and parachutes because they're balloon satellites.
So I put the picture that John sent us on the screen so people can see the picture that John says is of the edge. And naturally, we weren't too keen to just believe John's picture of the edge, no more than we want to believe NASA and their pictures of the spinny ball Earth. So we did digging, and our friend Karen, Can22, actually found the source of this picture that John sent us. James, you did a little bit of research on the artist. You want to tell people about the artist that took this picture?
Sorry, I was muted.
That's all right.
My brief, and I give a big disclaimer here, okay? This is my profiling, although usually accurate, comes with a big disclaimer. It could be way off. However, based on that, she is a very interesting person with some very rich relatives and friends and connections for the typical, so to speak, starving artist. Let's just say New York, super rich, old families, ancient traditions, old money, old art, old desires. I'll just leave it at that.
So what you found was a connection to some of the bigger names, say the bigger family names that people in the conspiracy world would know. So when we asked John about this picture, because we found all this stuff as an artist, and this picture is, it was put out there as art, and there's all these kind of strange things that didn't necessarily jive too much. What he said was that it was a woman spent a whole bunch of money to get there to take this picture, which wasn't the story that we were seeing on the website from the girl that actually took the picture. So there were some discrepancies there. So when we talked to John, he sort of set us straight in our way of thinking.
I think it confirmed what we were saying as well, Josh, is we looked at the narrative that comes with the pictures and the fanciful tale of sledging down slopes in Antarctica. And then, and most importantly to me, where I smelt a bit of a rat in the website that, reveals the picture was the description of the strangeness of the ice that we see, and that it was claimed that the cause was plastic bottles that had been polluting Antarctica that had frozen into the ice. And after she'd cleared as many as she could, it went back on their way, which is just...
I read it was it was something plastic piping insulation for the wires or something that had been dropped in there and shattered into 100 pieces, and then they suddenly take expeditions down there to clear up this enormous amount of shattered plastic. It seemed like an agenda, climate change, environmental over extreme agenda. To me anyway.
I'll just say one more thing and then I'll let go on it. But if anybody wants a little thread to tug on, some of the similar people and artists, if you were to search another artist in that circle, I would start looking at somebody by the name of Damien Hirst.
How did I know you were going to say that?
I don't know, John. You are my friend. And if you want to go a little further, maybe look into Druids, ancient Druids. But that's about it.
Yeah, there's definitely a history here, or a thread, like you say, a thread to pull on that you could trace back.
So that's kind of where we stand with John Bramha. John has $300,000 and 3 seats filled for his expedition to Antarctica. If you would like to go to Antarctica, we can put you in touch with John Bramha. Only going to cost you 100 G's.
John, just give him the $100,000 so you can go down there, all right?
You talking to me?
Rob,
Yes.
I thought you were...
That's pocket change for Savage. That's Savage pocket change.
And that blog. How much is that blog earning you a week these days? Eh?
Right?
Yeah.
Wordsmith.
Meisterwork.
That would be the savageplane.wordpress.com blog. That blog?
That's at least $50,000 a week you're earning off that, isn't it?
That would be the free savageplane.wordpress.blogspot something com.
Flipping another.
Are you talking about the savageplane.wordpress.com site?
All right, thank you, James.
I believe he does.
For the record, Flat Earth makes me no money. I'm not a member of any society, secret cult, any sort of agenda. I have no ties to anyone, as a lot of people know. And yeah, so stuff your comment, Rob. You're the
On
one.
that note,
You're the one
I
sitting
reckon we have a
on
break.
land
I reckon we have a break and have a coffee. What do you reckon?
with your
On that note.
Holden outside.
Being the gravity of the situation, I think that's a great idea.
Sweet,
Yeah.
nice segue.
Nice segue.
Lovely segue. You should be a DJ, my friend.
Maybe a co-host one day.
A hosty host. Talky talk.
All right, so with that, we're going to take a little break. We'll be back in like 4 or 5 minutes. Just sit tight. We're going to play a little Gravity. I know everybody's favorite Cheyenne song, favorite Flat Earth IronRealmMedia song is Gravity. So due to popular demand, just to get everybody off my back, I'm going to go ahead and play it again this week. Iron Realm Media's Flat Earth Friday Fringe Cast. My name is Josh Corey. We are here with our regular Iron Realm Media crew, Walt, John, Rob, Adam, James, and myself. Man, it was a pretty packed first hour.
Yeah, that was good. Good.
Nice stuff.
Very.
Yes.
Yep.
Only
Good
one
info.
small technical difficulty, but nothing new. Hell, we're used to that by now.
Edition.
Old hat.
We eat little technical difficulties like that for breakfast.
Ugh, you eat technical difficulties for breakfast?
I want that jacket.
With my Wheaties.
Awesome.
I'm excited for this part though, because we actually
Me too. I was about to say exactly the same thing. I am
instead
excited.
of a guest, we actually have a real guest, and he is our hero guest. Anyway, so Josh, why don't you do what you do best and introduce what we've got coming?
Well, one of the big premises on the flat Earth sort of is that the moon isn't what we were told. That the moon doesn't simply reflect sunlight, that the moon gives off its own light. And not only that, but the light that the moon gives off is cold light. So at nighttime, when you're standing out in the open air, the air is actually cooler in the moonlight than the moonlight is in the shade, the moon shade. So that the light itself has a cooling effect.
And I might add there, Josh, that you can feel that too when you walk outside. You can feel that moonlight colder, can't you? But yeah, sorry, keep going.
No, I certainly can. And I suppose there are people that would say that, of course, we don't know what we're talking about, and we're just stupid. And then who are we to question the very nature of what we've been taught? So, as flat earthers who are actually pursuing science and not scientism, our very own Adam went out there and performed some of these moonlight temperature tests. Amazing results. Adam, you want to walk everybody through some of this stuff, and we'll just jump right in.
Yeah, no worries. I shall jump and try and share screen. So a request I was by Mr. Savage there said, go on, do a moonlight experiment. So that's what I set off to do. I suppose the way to start is I've started to write it up as a proper paper. So I suppose the simplest way is to quickly read you the abstract and then follow from there with just a little quick description more of the equipment, and then quickly go through the results with you guys, and then let you pick my brains. And
I've heard you're actually going to try and get this a paper, right, Adam? Eventually.
Yeah. I'm putting it together, but I've kind of finished a few bits this week. Did a few. It's been really difficult to get any opportunity to do any experiments. Either the weather's been shocking, or like tonight, the moon's below the horizon. So so I had a couple of experiments this week, which has kind of given me 4 decent experiments to kind of base some statements on and follow.
Sorry, is anybody having trouble hearing Adam as well? Can anybody else hear Adam?
Fine.
Yep,
Yeah,
I
he's
can hear
fine.
him.
My problem. Sorry.
Yeah, you're a little breaky, James. Everybody else seems to be fine. And James is gone. All right, go ahead, Adam.
Okay, well, I'll start. So basically, it's titled a comparative study, and that's important. It is a comparative study at the moment. So a comparative study into the thermal effects of exposure to moonlight. So the abstract starts with the design of the experiment and equipment is for the measurement of thermal effect of moonlight. This is intended by equipment design to promote moonlight as a variable parameter in measurements. Calibrated and certified thermometers with an error factor of 0.1 degrees Celsius were used. Equipment was set up to provide different zones for temperature readings. These break down into A, inside a glass dome, which is exposed to moonlight and not exposed to environment. B, inside a plastic box, not exposed to moonlight and not exposed to environment. C, exposed to moonlight and exposed to environment. And D, not exposed to moonlight and exposed to environment. don't worry about remembering that. We're going to concentrate tonight on just C and D in terms of keeping the explanation to a minimum. The other points are useful for further experimentation, which is why they're included. Anyway, readings were taken at time intervals to produce data showing temperature changes over time with respect to the defined conditions. In summary, the experimental data demonstrated a noticeable thermal effect when instrumentation was exposed to the moonlight. This effect was contrary to current beliefs as to the nature of the light emitted, and it demonstrated a clear cooling effect of a magnitude outside the combined error factor of instrumentation. Results were further supplemented by a switchover correlation when exposure to moonlight conditions were reversed. The significance of the results is sufficient to warrant further experimentation designed for obtaining more quantitative data as opposed to the more comparative nature of this study. So with that, it's kind of the abstract written, like I say, and that's as far as I've got more from a writing up point of view. But from this, I'd start with just, to use it and set it up as a scientific experiment. We started with a null hypothesis, and that being that the moon's light is a reflection of the light from the sun. It will have zero or limited thermal warming effects, which I think people would agree is the standard understanding of what the moon's light is. So the research hypothesis, the moon's light is not a reflection of sunlight. It is possessed of its own unique properties, creating a thermal effect. Are you guys still there? I'm hearing a few bing bongs.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so they're the points. What I've got here is just a little picture of the equipment, and what we've got is basically dual thermometers. So there's a probe both in the reading area and the probes which are located inside the glass dome and inside the plastic box. Like I said, for the purpose of the results I'm going to discuss tonight, we're just concentrating on these two actual large, they've got the same probes built inside of them, but they've also got the readings on them. And the photos you can see here, which is just for demonstration purposes, is to show you how we're creating shading here. And a lot of the test data I also did with sunlight to make sure we had some data that would show how it reacted with sunlight. What I've got here, I've got 4 of these thermometers, so they're all officially calibrated for pharmacy fridge standards for storing of medicines, insulin, vaccines, etc. So they're accurate, and like I say, they go to 0.1 degree. So that's pretty much the data, and I'll leave that there. What
Can I jump in here, Adam?
Yeah, by all means.
Sorry, can I just ask how long this has taken you, and how long you've been playing at this?
Well, as you can see by the concoction I've built, it took time to build, and more importantly, think about what we were going to set up. And I've made some more modifications. So I don't know, what has it been? 3 months, 4 months?
Probably. But you've also been measuring not just moonlight, is it, or moon shade. You've also been measuring sunlight, cloudy days, just to make sure that all your thermometers are acting the way you would expect them to act as well. I mean, there's a lot of time and effort has gone into the back of this.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just quickly show you that. So this is, can you see the spreadsheet now? So you can see there's lots of test data experiments here. Look, they go on for quite a while and so on before you get to the actual moonlight ones. So lots of stuff, and then that was intended for one specific purpose, and that's to make so I understood the machine, how it behaves, and I think I do, and B, to validate the results that we've got, because we know what it does when things happen. And so on here there's times when it's heating up and cooling down and sunlight. So lots of different data that just supports my understanding and supports the readings that we're getting, and validates what it's saying, i.e., if we're seeing the temperature going down, we've got a comparative thing that this is a cooling effect, and we know that the machine does it. So it's just validation.
Well, not to freak you out too much, but I mean, it's been 18 months now since I had a conversation on Twitter with a guy from the University of Cardiff that was a bolometer expert. Someone that was their specialization was measuring temperature and thermal radiation and all this sort of stuff. And it's been 18 months. So when this is complete, I'm going to be forwarding this on to him and asking for his opinion, because he's been promising to do this. Hopefully he'll listen to this, because I'm going to forward it to him anyway. You know who you are. And yep, we're going to expect something in return from Cardiff University to refute this or confirm it, because he was very interested. I sent him details of how I did the experiment, and he acknowledged that it looked as though we had created a good experiment. And I can't remember his exact words now, but by swapping over the thermometers, we created something or other. What would that word be, Adam?
Well, the way I see it is it validates the results, because there's a correlation. Yeah, we show the correlation between the location and what that location indicates, i.e., exposure to moonlight or not, and the temperature of the device. It's a clear correlation. I'll get into that as we go on. So
yep, you carry on. Mate.
I mean that's actually what I was going to say before I go into the individual tests. There's just four little statements. I mean, the first thing is the 4 tests are actually all in very varying different atmospheric conditions, and one of them, the last one, which I'll show you, was actually done during daylight, which is really interesting, and it adds to some postulation with regards to the magnitude of cooling as well, some of these tests. So what I would say is all the tests show that there is a significant difference is shown in all of them when the device is exposed to moonlight as opposed to not. There is a significant cooling effect outside, as I said in the summary, of the significance of error. And maybe I should just cover that quickly. As I stated, the significance of error of the device on the certification is 0.1 degree. So if we assume we're comparing 2 devices, one could be, if it's at 0 degrees, the most variance we can get is one could be at minus 0.1 degree and one could be at plus 0.1 degree. So the biggest variance we should get is 0.2 of a degree. So what we're hoping for in terms of any form of significant result is something larger than 0.2 of a degree. The valid result can still be valid in terms of the temperature variance. And the point really about this and the way I've designed the experiment is not in the traditional manner where we've got somebody just taking a snapshot of temperatures instantly. What I'm trying to show is that there is a difference over time, and that the rate of cooling is more enhanced in the moonlight. Okay, so that we can actually see there's a time component to it rather than a snapshot. So
hey Adam, can you go through just some individual ones that
I'm coming to it, but let me make the point. I'll make the final point then, and that relates to John's question, which is what is significant and validates the result is the zonal reversal. So this is a bit of the data, and I'll jump into the first experiment then. And I'll just go straight to the graphs. Can you see the graph, everybody?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So, like I said, I'm only going to concentrate on 2 zones, and that's C and D. So that's the green and purple lines.
Excellent.
Yes. Okay. Now, what we've also got is the air temperature, and that's that's interesting in of itself, because it's independent. I've taken that with an anemometer, and I'll kind of wave that around in the air before taking the readings to get me kind of just an air temperature reading. And realistically, if we thinking in a thermal world, then nothing should ever drop below that air temperature.
Adam, can you just confirm what C and D are? One's in the moonlight, one's out in the moonlight. Both are out of the environment, in the environment. Is that right?
I would hope you could guess which line is in the moonlight, but it is C, the green line at the bottom here.
Treat us like children.
Okay. So,
treat us like blind children.
Can I just make a suggestion here then? If we are children, good children, when a presenter comes to class, tries to withhold their mouse until he gets through it. Just my suggestion.
Yes, quiet at the back there. Right, okay. So what I'll do is, you can see that graph there, and I'll just quickly. What you can see here, look, is everything is trending downwards. Okay, everything's cold and everything's getting colder because it's night time and it's getting colder. And you can see this is a month or so ago. So, but what we see is, if we look at the purple line, and they both start together at the same temperature. Now, strangely, there's a slight bit of warming with the one in the shade straight away, but you can see instantly this one starts to cool at a much faster rate. Now, you can see here that the air temperature increases, and both of them increase, but nothing significant. And then it starts to cool again, and you can see that they really now start to diverge around here. Okay, and at the widest point here, which is after 90 minutes, which is where I stopped the experiment, the biggest point of variance is 1.1 degrees, a difference of 9.8 and 10.9 degrees. Now, at this point here, I then swap the thermometer that is in the moonlight with the one that's in the moon shade. And what we see over the next, 45 minutes, as you see, after 20 minutes, they're actually the same temperature. Okay, and then also they then diverge again with the one in the moon shade actually getting warmer. Okay, which is sufficient of what people say. If you stand in the shade, you're a bit chilly and wet, you feel a bit. And the one that's now gone into the moonlight, as you can see, really cools down. And as I said, what's significant here is, if we've got the blue air temperature line, you can see, look, at this point here, before I switch the experiment, the one that's in the moon shade is cooler than the air temperature. It's cooler than the environment it's in. And remember, it started out warmer. Okay, it started out a lot warmer, and it's a big plastic unit. So it's undergone quite a significant amount of cooling to now be cooler than the air, which is very strange. And like I say, this is validated by the fact that when I then swap the devices over, that's replicated. I'll leave that one there for the moment. That's it, just a bit more in close-up detail. You can see this swap over, and you can see the air temperature.
That's
okay.
Cool. Love that.
Let me just take a slurp. So this is test 2, which is done this week. Both test 2 and 3 were done the same evening. We see this one's started at 10 to 11, and that 81% wax and gibbous. It's really ridiculously cloudy. Okay, and I was a bit disappointed, but I thought I'd give it a go because I could actually see the moon bursting through the cloud. Do you know what I mean? You could make it out in that silhouette pattern. So I thought I'll give it a go. And so the same again. Look, we'll look at this is the air temperature at the bottom. Green is in the moonlight, and purple is in the moon shade. And pretty similar again. At the maximum difference here, we have a variable of 16.2 and 17.2. And the interesting thing here is this is actually maintained at 30, 32, and 34 minutes. And when you talk about perseverance and effort, these ones, I'm taking readings every 2 minutes, and you can see how long I'm out for. Hours and hours and hours. So it does take effort, guys. Yeah, it does. It takes a lot of wine as well. So you can see the big, again, a degree difference. So again, we're looking at similar variance between the two units. And maybe that might extend more if I left the units out, because the units are a little reactive. It takes time for it to permeate through the plastic, and then the sensors fully pick it up, because they're designed to be in refrigerators and outside of refrigerators for measuring the temperature, the ambient temperature in rooms and environments. So anyway, then we swap over again here, and you can see once again the clear point where after a few minutes, and this is quite short, look, if you see here, it's only 10 minutes before we're starting to converge at the same temperature, and then we've got a clear divergence again here. And at this point, this is where I stop the experiment.
Excuse me, Mr. Meakin.
Yes, sir.
Just wanted to ask a question. When you say you cross over, can you clarify? You're physically crossing the thermometers over into...
I'm physically changing the positions of the two thermometers, from one being in the moonlight, and that goes into the same position where the other one was in the moonshade, and vice versa. So it's a complete physical movement, and that's the only change. And this movement is over 12 inches. It's not anything significant. As you see, the moonshade's created by a small sheet of plastic. There goes to be precise.
Got you.
So this is the point here then on the graph. You can see about here, 30, I think it's 30 minutes. No, so it's about here, 32 it is. And it takes where I swap the two in terms of position. And then you see that the one that was in the moonshade instantly starts to get cooler, and the one that was in the moonlight instantly starts to get warmer. And like I say, I stopped it here at an hour after 30 odd readings, and I was quite happy with that. Again, what's happened here and what's quite interesting is what you see in the equipment lot is come out of my shed at this point here, and you can see the difference in temperature in my shed and the ambient temperature there to the outside my shed. Okay, so that's what we're seeing here as well as they equate down to here, and that's why when then later the same night, this one started at midnight. The moon's the same, obviously, but there's no clouds at all. There's no clouds. It's absolutely lovely at this point. So, obviously, carry on taking the readings, and here we are. Like, so we can ignore this first part. But again, you can see this is in the moon shade, and this is in the moonlight. And you can see there's only a small difference now, 1.5 degrees between the unit and the outside temperature. But again, there is a difference, you see. It's been set out for quite a while, but the air temperature is still lower. So when we do get to air temperature, it's quite significant as well, because, so again, here we get to the point, let me just highlight it, check, at 40 minutes, so here, look, and all the way up again, we've got the same level of variance, and that's interesting. And this is why I want to get a lot more actual quantitative data as well, and that's what the next experiments will start to do, is to explore this detail, as opposed to just pointing out, which is significant to say. This is what this experiment points out. There is a difference. What the difference is, the next experiments will hopefully point out. But at this point, I've got a variance. And remember, this is clear skies with really good, strong, bright moon. A difference of 0.7 degrees. And I swap it over just about here, and it's about 1:30 in the morning. And once they've met, I know what's going to happen, so I end the experiment there. But I mean, you can guess what's going to happen. So that's the end of that experiment. This one is the one. This one, and actually the results of this one are quite significant and lend us further thought and experimentation as well. But this one was actually done, look, if you see, 1st of June, at 10 to 9, as John will testify, there's plenty of daylight still. You can't see the sun. The sun was actually behind my house anyway, so even if it was totally shaded, but it was still daylight. And these are the results. It was just a quick test experiment, but I think it's quite significant. So again, we'll look at in the moon light green and in the moon shade purple, and this is the ambient temperature. And what we see once again is a nice divergence again. But this is the interesting point here. This is the same equipment, a month earlier. I've not done anything, but we've got a variance here of 1.2, 1.3, 1.3. And then at 60 minutes, it actually gets to the point of 1.4 degrees, which is, huge. And at this point, it's brilliant. And I had a little tent out with for the kids. And as you can see, the experiment's on a bit of a little dolly trolley push around the garden. So I've just pushed it into the tent in the garden, hoping to maybe do an experiment later on, but keep everything under the same conditions until I start the next experiment. So I've shoved it back in the trolley, and then I thought, I'll just keep taking a few readings. I've not bothered with the red one because that's the plastic box, and it's so slow. It's there as a control, and for other reasons I won't bore you why. But look at what happens. So this is now that the whole unit's just been shoved inside a tent, another 10 foot from its position in the garden, and all of them, converge to the air temperature, which is just quite, look at that. It's just weird. Obviously, it's got a little bit warmer in the tent, but everything's gone. So it's telling you that these thermometers, they do read the air temperature. So that's that. And I think pretty much, guys, that's my findings. And I would just reiterate that I would stand by the rejection of the null hypothesis and accept the experimental hypothesis and suggest that moonlight does have a clear cooling effect. It is not, from what we can see, a reflection of sunlight, where we would expect to see zero or positive thermal effect. What we clearly see is a negative thermal effect of cooling.
Brilliant. Very good.
Great stuff, brother. Amazing.
Adam, a couple of questions.
Mr. Meekin.
Mr.
Yeah.
Meekin.
My dad says that the sun provides all the light from the moon. What do you say to that?
I would say I have no idea, but what I can say is whatever that moon is emitting, it's having a cooling effect. Whatever's activating that light, the light we're receiving from the moon is different in nature to the light we're receiving from the sun. It's comparative, this study. It's not.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, that is awesome. Especially, just for the comparative purposes. That's huge. That's amazing.
I loved when you put it into the tent and they all converged into one in the tent, which that shows all the thermometers are working perfectly, doesn't it?
Look at it. It's beautiful, that bit. I love that. They're just...
some people might balk
No.
at your deficit of 0.7 degrees or whatever. When I've done this with cheap thermometers or whatever, 4 cheap thermometers, swapped them over, all the rest of it, I was getting some readings of 4 or 5 degrees difference between the moonlight and the moon shade. But to put it into context, when we were talking about these neutrinos, they went underground by miles and miles and miles. They built something like a 50,000 ton chamber. Or no, the first one was a chlorine chamber. And his predictions were that after exposure to these neutrinos, he had something like 9 times 10 to the power of 15 cubic whatever it was of water, and he was expecting to register 9 molecules of chlorine that had turned to argon via the neutrinos. So, I mean, you can imagine that is the most minute difference you can possibly think of. So although you've got a 0.7 degree, I'm sure our bolometer expert at Cardiff University would agree that a continuous and repeatable and measurable 0.7 degree difference between moonlight and moonshade is a considerable it's a considerable result. Do you agree?
I think I would qualify the results a little bit there in terms of their significance. Like I said, these are designed to sit statically and measure temperature over time, a maximum, minimum thermometers. So they're not designed to give you instant quick readings. They're designed to give you accurate long-term readings. Okay, so what we see, and this is really why they're significant results. Now, what I've learned from this is to try and equate the temperatures of the equipment a lot closer. And that's going to give me more significance when I go to a more detailed quantitative results. Okay. But it doesn't change from the behavior of the thermometers. Okay. But what I do think the thermometers do, if I left them out, John, all night on the maximum minimum settings, and that's one of the experiments I'm going to do later, is to see what the coolest is they get to. But that's going to take hours and hours because they're designed to react to, like I said, they're not designed like your laser lights to give you a quick temperature. That's what that is. They're designed to give you the exact temperature of the ambient conditions on that device. Yeah. And that's why I think they're so slow. But I think if you look, these results are being split over, look, what's that? An hour. Imagine if something sat in the moonlight for 3-4 hours. Where's it? What? And they're the next phases of stuff to do really long time stuff to see what extremities we can go to. The disappointment's the British weather, isn't it?
Yeah, always.
Well, now that you've perfected the model, we can try them elsewhere.
Well, this isn't even the final model, is it, Adam? You've already upgraded your setup. Well, whether on purpose or by accident, an upgrade was needed.
I've taken apart the Savageometer and well, yeah, let's be honest, Josh. I took a little stagger in the garden and the big glass dome fell and shattered, which was...
Ladies and gentlemen, he has finally shattered the glass ceiling and broken the firmament.
Yeah, screw you, Hillary. So it's been broken. But in that, and actually, if I'll just show you what, and this is quite significant as well. So what happened? I had a big glass dome. That's a big environment to change for then the probe to pick up. Now, that was during this one, experiment 3. Okay. So the big dome is still on, and it's on the yellow line up here. You can see it's still cooling. It's cooling a lot faster than the one in the plastic box with no moonlight. Okay, but it's both protected from the environment. So that's significant, but we're not discussing that here. That's more... but you can see here in the big dome, look, it's quite far away from the others. You see what happens? What I then do is put literally a really tiny glass dome on there. Okay, look how much closer it is. This is covered in glass. This is in a greenhouse, basically, exposed to moonlight. But look, it's colder. It catches up, and then it matches the coldness of the one that's outdoors. in the moon shade, like all the way down to about here. Then I stopped the results, but you can see the results. I'll just show the results so it doesn't look dark spot. There they are. So I stopped taking them up there, lot. So it goes to 60. So you can see, like, it goes all the way down to there where it's matching. Can you see that? Now that's in a glass dome, and it's matching the outside. It's colder, wrapped in glass with no wind blowing around it, or as cold as the one that's in the outside. So that's the premise, that accident of the next one. So give me 2 seconds, guys, and it's outside, and I'll wow. Yeah, give me 2 seconds.
Well, can I just say at this point that I mean, the level of detail that Adam's gone into on this is fantastic, and the time and effort and everything he's put into it is brilliant. And I think it's amazing that we could turn this into some sort of publishable paper. But what I would like to stress is that anyone at all with a $3 thermometer, 2 to 4 thermometers ideally, can test this themselves. So back over to you, Adam, while you sort your hair out.
Yeah, sorry, I'm on camera. I want to look good.
I just wanted to remind you were on camera.
Yeah, so what I've got here, look, I don't know if is that sharing still. Can you see that, Josh?
Oh, yeah. Looks like some cute little finger puppets.
What I've got here is the glass dome that I then replaced the big taxidermy dome with. My wife does worry when she's a boxer and taxidermy dome arrive and stuff. She's like, what the hell are you up to now?
No. Oh, this doesn't happen often. Looks like IronRealmMedia is still going on. Okay, let's see if we can.
A lot of YouTube flat Earth videos. We've heard a lot of people talk about the moonlight experiment. It's one of our things.
Okay.
By far, this is the best work I've ever seen on proving that the moonlight in the shade is colder. Well done. Unbelievable, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for this work you've done. It's a lot and impressive.
No, I agree. I've not seen anybody put this much effort into their moonlight test. I mean, I've seen some really half-assed ones, but
yeah, I know of one.
I wasn't pointing any fingers, Walt. I wasn't. I'm just saying there's some.
I was being very silly. I threw mine together in about 5 minutes, man. Truly, 2 pieces of paper on the ground. That's what I did, and switched them out. Oh, I'm sorry, one on cement, one on grass. Which there you go. I blew it there.
Well,
but I think this. Yes, you've vindicated us all. Thank you, Adam.
And that's part of what makes this so important.
Is respectfully, guys, stuff like that, all the YouTube vids out there from it. And again, it comes back to doing real science. You go out.
All say to you now, Adam, what could they pick you at? Do you think?
What they're going to go is it's in shade. It's in shade. It's the cloud. And one of the things I researched earlier was that obviously it's out there. There is a clear set of scientific statements that actually in.
Okay, I think we're back now.
As it's heated up during the day, is reflected back by the clouds. That's why it's colder when the moon comes out. It's not because the moon's out, it's because there's no clouds to radiate the Earth's heat back. So that's the standard explanation. Now, I would assume you're going to get some weak ass excuse that small sheet of Lego that's 12 inches above it, creating a small parasol effect, is in some way making a massive difference.
They'll try and find something.
Yeah,
they'll try and find something, won't they? But yeah,
I look forward to it, and I'm sure I'll ignore most of the nonsense. But more importantly, I'd look forward to any real positive scientific evaluation and criticism that could strengthen future experiments. And if anybody's interested, wants the data, wants to chat, where
think of the possibilities, though. I mean, I really want to see, because we've all heard about it, I'm sure most of have, is the effect of moonlight on living objects. I want to see a plant in the moonlight and actually record it shriveling or harming it, as they say, Once you prove this, I'd like to see some of the other ones, like what would it have on wounds, on food, on, then we can go so many places, man.
We had someone in chat talking about a thermal camera, and I'm guessing they're thinking it'd be different colors. Does that sound?
Yeah.
If you use that thermal camera?
Yeah, looking at a way of imaging it is how you get these thermometers. I've been looking on eBay to try and get a big sheet of like a thermal reactive paper. I've seen that there's thermal reactive paint, and I'm looking at maybe buying some of that, creating a sheet, and then to actually create shadow patterns from the moonshade, and see if we can get a thermal image difference. That's another one of my little. So there's lots of stuff like that, and if we can get, I think thermal imaging is a good way, but I think it's what I found was that the level of criticism that you were seeing in a lot of the experiments was it's a snapshot, or it's bullshit, it could be X, Y, and Z. So what I've tried to present in this is that every other factor, every other parameter within the experiment is controlled like a proper experiment. And what we vary is exposure to moonlight. Yeah. And that's the only variable that the equipment undergoes in the experiment, as far as I can see. I'm open to criticism on that. And that's the significant part about when you're doing the experiment, is to make sure that the variable you're trying to measure is the one that actually changes in the experiment and nothing else does. And that's what all that Lego and nonsense is all about,
Yeah, I think last week when we had Paul on the plane on, and we were trying to come up with ideas for what he can do for his next trip. He's got a 700-mile trip coming up, and he was looking for suggestions as to things he could do, experiments he could perform that would show that it's flat, or if there's a curvature that would show the curvature. And I think that what we decided was that he should go out there and just start asking some of these ballers exactly, okay, if there's measurable curvature, how can I do it? I'm traveling 700 miles. Show me how it is that I can measure this curvature. And so that he can perform these experiments himself. And of course, if it's a legit experiment that's going to not start with the assumption that it's a ball, then I'm sure these are things that he would take into effect. But this is
out there, Josh. It was me and Paul had discussed, and if anybody ever wants to do it, I'll do the maths on it. All you need to do is calibrate your phone or your bubble app on a flat surface, stick it on the floor of the plane, and then leave that bubble app there and film your bubble app, upload it to YouTube, and I will plot the changes once you're in steady flight as mathematical vectors from on a x-axis point of view, so an angle, an altitude point of view.
Adam,
and I'll do it. I only want an hour's worth of data, but if somebody can be asked to film,
Adam,
yeah,
could I do it on a cross-country flight from where I'm going on a 5-hour flight in 3 days?
I want an hour's worth of film where you're at constant altitudes, and I can do the maths from there based on the bubble app readings. As long as it's got XY coordinates on there, I can extract. I can turn the time and the XY coordinates into vectors, and then plot it in terms of altitude, and it'll either show you that it's having to dip or it isn't dipping. It's really...
There you go, James. Brilliant. 5-hour
Done deal.
flight.
Yep. Done.
Awesome.
Yeah.
From hours 2 to
10 times like that, like one to bleeding calculate it, James. But yeah, I'm desperate to get that. So if you can do that, bro, I'll geek it out.
James, do you have a external battery?
I do not, but we'll talk after the show, and we'll get set up with whatever we need.
Okay. I've got a small one I can send you that I don't really use a whole lot. It's only like 2,000 milliamp hours though, so it's not a great. Wow, that's awesome. So I think we're going to cut this one off. I think we're pretty close to 2 hours. I think between this and the last video, which, damn it, I was hoping we could get it all on one again this week. But we were talking about splitting it up, and we are going to end this stream before we go to the Fringe. So after we're done here, we will restart. So anybody that wants to continue listening or to come in and join and talk with us, once we end here, give us like 5 or 10 minutes. We have to allow YouTube to reset and for the video to start processing so that we can start another new stream. So that hour 3 will just be the Fringe, and that'll be a whole separate video. Because nobody's going to want to take anything out of that too much, but I can see a lot of people wanting to pull Adam's moonlight temperature experiment out of this episode. So we're going to end it here in a couple minutes and continue on for hour 3 on a separate feed.
I tell you what, Josh, something screwy is happening tonight. I lost my live feed for the first time probably in 8 months now, isn't it? Well,
Oh
I
my
got
goodness!
kicked out.
I'm
That's
telling
the
you,
first time
we're the
that's
greatest show you've never heard of.
Who are we?
We're going to start midweek from sneak in on them.
Sorry,
Yeah,
John,
for
I
those of
said
you that are
we're the greatest show you've never heard of because they ban us all along.
Yeah, who are we? No one's ever heard of us. And you're not going to hear it from us.
IronRealmMedia something.
Something like that. Right,
Just
see you on
remember
the other
your
side.
periodic table of elements.
Hey, after we start, let's do that Klaatu song about neutrino on the Fringe.
We could do that. I saw it. That was in the Hangout. I saw it, but there's like 16 different places.
I hear you.
Nope.
Their name irritates me though. Well, the way it's spelled, even, but I'm excited.
You not know that reference?
Let's get in the Fringe, guys. Let's get
Yeah,
in.
I'll explain that reference in the Fringe. That'll be the best place for it.
Sweet.
All right. See you there. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. This has been another Iron Realm Media Flat Earth Friday Fringe Cast. My name is Josh Corey. Thanks again for joining us. Hope to see you back here next week. You can find Iron Realm here on YouTube, on Twitter at Iron Realm Media. We're on Facebook. Find us there at Flat and Free on the Iron Realm. Otherwise, we'll see you back here next week. Thanks, everybody. I love you. TGIF. Thank God it's flat.
Love you guys.